Kate Braverman has written a contemporary novel, The Incantation of Frida K, based on the life of Frida Kahlo. The passage below is the opening of the novel. Read the passage carefully. Then write an essay in which you define the narrator's attitude towards her husband and towards her legacy, and show how she directs the reader's perception with such stylistic devices such as imagery, diction, allusion, syntax, repetitions, and a choice of specific details. I was born in rain, and I will die in rain. Know me as river, as harbor. They will say I was a slut with a brazen sailor's mouth. They will not remember my elegance and restraint. They will say they looked into my eyes and counted 146 pelicans flying in a wavering line into a marina at sunset. Men don't have the vocabulary for such eyes. A brown, calculating, predatory. Men lack the spectrum, the palate. It is not the eyes themselves, but rather what they contain, the vision. Diego Rivera is like that, with his compulsion to categorize. Men prefer primitive bodies outlined, with hard black edges, like the Maya painted. I resist the obvious borders. For this heresy I have been categorically penalized. Do you know they sealed me into a cast for an entire year? It was a premature burial, where I kept breathing under dirt. They did this repeatedly, gathered my crushed bones like wildflowers, and used plaster as a vase. They sought to make an object of me. There was no composition. It was vandalism. I learned in a hospital that in one solitary confinement or another, that it is still an era of barbarism. In surgery and convalescent rooms, laminated by electric light, I recognize their limitations. They are bloated with ambition, but their methods are inadequate. This knowledge is an illumination that burns. It is the essence of genius and affliction. In this way I transcended them. I defied gravity. I should have died in that gutter like a barren dog hit by a trolley car bitch. I should have died in Diego's overwhelming shadow, curled into its shallows and currents, its blood-stained coral reefs. Who but a water woman could have navigated his mind ports? He was a lady killer. He murdered me slowly. It took him decades of sabotage, but wind and infection outwitted him. This is the reason for the grief he will frequently display. He will mourn, but it will be with theatrical and unsettling ambiguity. He will recall my parrot-caged torso and nights of sleeping on razors and barbed wire. He will find the place where they sawed off my leg. He will dream it, how it smelled like decayed meat in a dirt alley at noon in a region of drought and plague, dust, piss of goats, rot of hibiscus. Diego will recognize the trolley car has stopped. He may mistake my absence for freedom. They will say I smoke cigarettes and marijuana, cursed horse as a crow in all my languages, and love morphine and Demerol, tequila and pulque, women and men. I will shrug my illusion of shoulders and answer that I am a water woman, not a vessel, not something you can sail or charter. I am instead the tributary, the river, the fluid source, and the sea itself. I am all her rainy implications. And what do you, with your rusted compass, know of love? The grafts and amputations, the casts and operations are without limit. They will not complete their excavations, for surely I am an archaeological site now. Not a woman, not a human, not anymore. When you have survived the withering disease, when you have dragged your polio leg like an anomalous branch, scratching the pavement behind you, when you have continued breathing after they left you for dead on a city boulevard, when you have lived with Diego, when you have looked into your face and seen your third eye, you know death is a reward. When they have skinned me completely, I will be as water-woman, freed of their unnecessary bodies. Men prescribe these structures, these female forms for pleasure and convenience, and the perpetuation of sons. They invent laws and rituals to enforce this. I have taught myself to become deaf to them, oblivious. Of course, it's been a mutual decision. Mine has not been a typical exile, but rather a negotiated settlement. I left the world as it is ordinarily known, and it left me. When they cease the medieval procedures they call medicine, progress, and technology, I will float like a leaf, a delinquent maple beginning to curl, to turn, to tissue, to be painted on. I can etch the surface. I have the tools. I am as intelligent as they are and more subtle. Yes, I am screaming. It's time for morphine. I hear cathedral bells through rain. It's the hour for amnesia and invisibility. I call being saved. Nurse, better come.